The buzz on the spin. Her eyes blearily crack open to see the white light of a hospital ceiling above her. It was so average. She knew what it looked like from entertainment, but never had. Her head swims and she turns her head on the side. She has to blink a little for her eyes to focus on the Cove moving around to suture shut a gaping wound on the arm of a Canador woman. "Hey, she's awake," the big brute says, pointing at her with her unmaimed limb. "She's not sporting a 40-centimeter long gash 3 centimeters deep. She can wait." The Cove snaps at the larger woman. "But do I need to bring out the stun cannon?" "No, ma'am," the cowed Canador states with wide eyes. "That's Doctor," the tiny Cove replies before glancing right at her. "And you, go back to sleep. Your bills are paid in full, and this is a place of healing besides. You're safe." She wakes up the next time as she hears an odd scraping sound. At least she assumes it's scraping. It's inoffensive and at the edge of her ability to hear it, but it has her confused enough to open her eyes and blearily blink up at the ceiling. She's still in the hospital. She looks to the side and sees a huge blast of colorful flowers and birds on fabric. She blinks again and gets her jumbled head straightened out, sitting up and then pausing partway as the sensation of moving makes her head swim. "Easy now, take it slowly," a deep and gentle voice says as a large and strong hand helps support her back. She sits all the way up and the hand is pulled away, her back suddenly cold for its absence. "I've never been this tired before." That's what a low-grade restorative coma does. It's taxing as can be on the body, but it can heal you without mucking up your head. I've got you on a fluid drip to keep you hydrated, but I think you're ready for a little more. The doctor's voice says from the side opposite of the warm hand and bright cloth, and she turns to see the doctor with a large cup of fluid with a wide straw. "Drink this, it will help." She takes the drinking container and swallows a few mouthfuls. There's something extra in the water, likely nutritional supplements. Then it's pulled away. "Not too quick. Your stomach is empty. We're going to reinflate it at a slower rate so we don't hurt you," the doctor says before setting the drink down to the side. "May I speak with her now?" the deep voice asks, and she turns to behold a man. He's a Tret man with short brown hair, a bristling mustache and bright, happy-looking clothing if the shirt is anything to go by, an absolute dish. There's a strange play with powerful muscles cording up from his neck, but it's probably just axiom playing. He looks like a model and movie star to her eyes. "Yes, but if you start to stress her out, I will throw you out so fast you'll bounce off the far wall." The doctor threatens him, and she turns to regard the fuming Cove. "Is there some kind of history here?" "Understood," he says, and she turns to face him. He tucks away what looks like an old-fashioned book. Some people like to have those paper and cardboard messes. For the novelty, it seems, he appeared to be one of them. "My name is Daniel Eastman. I'm a commander of the Undaunted EFL Division. I'm stationed here on Octoran Spin as part of our recruitment and outreach program. Understand?" "Not really?" The Undaunted? She had heard something about that? But she tended not to follow politics. It made her head spin. "I'm a soldier that works on this outlaw station, so we have friends here. Does that make sense?" he asks, and when she hears the word outlaw, she seizes up as the past few weeks come crashing back at her. Whoa, hey, relax, just relax, you're fine." Her BPM is skyrocketing, contracted pupils, tenseness and feathers standing upright. "She's having a panic attack," the doctor says as she squeezes her eyes shut and tries to catch her breath. She feels a small hand on her back rubbing in circles. "Help me with this monkey. You've got the soft, self-heating hand." Warm and comforting, his hand finds its way to her back and starts to massage in gentle circles. She involuntarily unclenches a little, and it triggers the rest of her body to slowly unclench, and she catches enough of a breath for the words that were bubbling in the back of her throat to spill out. "They left me," she sobs. "They just left me to die." You're going to be all right, Hoagie says gently. How? How will this ever be okay? Because I'm going to help you, but I need some help in return. You are not going to extort one of my patients, Dr. Fong snarls at him. You're right, I'm not. All I need from you is to tell me everything that happened since you came to this station, Hoagie says, holding out his communicator. In return, I will pay for your ticket to any planet along the major axiom lanes, or even just a ride home. Wherever you want to go, I will get you there. And how will that help? They drained my account. They used it to fund my own damn kidnapping. She snarls and Hoagie nods. I can help with that too. I just want your cooperation. How? How can you possibly make things better? My family abandoned me. I'm stuck on a heap of shit pirate station outside the protection of the law. I'm alone. I'm broke and I have no idea what to do. Hoagie's response is to switch his communicator to projection mode and have the symbol of the Undaunted, the segmented letter T capping a segmented U in a 4-part circle. You want direction? Fine. You want safety? Good. You want money? Doable. I can write you a letter of recommendation to have you recruited into the Undaunted. We're recruiting, and a cloaken with a half-functioning brain would be very, very useful to us. You want something away from pirates and your family? Here it is. You want money? Here it is. Legally earned and no one will say otherwise. You want to stop this kind of horseshit from happening to you again? Here it is. Military? But I never even considered a life like that. And I wanted to be a professional baseball player. Life has a way of going directions you don't expect, Hoagie says, and she stares at him for a moment. All right, I'll try. That's all I need. Now, I know you were taken by the Gore sisters and their associates. Then you were thrown out. Did this happen right before or right after the denial? A little while after. They thought it was a bluff. After that, I wandered. The door comm is disabled, so he hammers on the door itself, each strike echoing into the storage area. It was almost ironic that everything had brought him to Section 6 where all the damage happened. Helen had not only been completely cooperative but had clarified everything and gladly put it into a recording. He had bought her a big meal, doctor approved, and had bought her ticket to Centris. A communication to the ship itself to let them know she's coming. A communicator for Helen to be in contact with them and some more money so she can spend on herself and easily feed herself for the trip, as well as explicit orders on how to ration it all, laid it all out nice and straight. It felt good to have that loose end tied up with a bow on it. This all led him here. Warehouse 6, 72, the 72nd Industrial Warehouse in Section 6, the place Helen got her gilded brass from. She had slipped around in a dozen different shapes all over the station after being thrown out like garbage and had stumbled onto what looked like a massive pallet of Kutha bars. She had instantly jumped on the seeming windfall and grabbed as much as she could carry. A fair number of them were swiped all over the station, but only in tiny bits before she managed to cache them in Sector 4 and then try to get herself back on her feet. She had then been mugged and only had a small amount left over while traveling through Sector 3 and started to undergo a panic. She was given a addicting dose of chill by a drug pusher, and she jumped on the seeming charity. End result, she had only a few coins left and a packet of uncut chill. Not knowing the doses or that it was uncut, or even what uncut or cut drugs were, she downed some and went to gamble. She slowly killed herself for 3 days straight until he and Zizzy had intervened and saved her life. The natural resilience needed to live that long under the affects of an uncut downer had stunned Dr. Fong and left Hoagie temporarily slack-jawed. If she could get a grip on that inborn toughness, then she would go very, very far in the Undaunted. But her future was in her hands now. She was already off the station and being moved to safety. He bangs on the door a few more times with a cross look on his face. If you don't open up to let me in, I'm coming in under my own power, and you will not have the ability to close this door afterwards. The door opens and he smirks at the shifty and somewhat panicked-looking Lutrin woman. He leans to the side and sees several forges, a few of them in use, and pallets of Kutha bars. He holds up the credentials he was given by Minisai. Daniel Eastman, Station Administration. We need to talk. We need to talk about your catastrophic failure to keep this operation under proper wraps and how it screwed over the production lines on several factories, leading to millions of credits in both damages and lost production, as well as dozens of injuries. We're lucky there's no deaths. Hoagie says loudly enough that the people moving around the area stop and stare at the increasingly uncomfortable Lutrin. It's not my fault, the green-skinned woman protests, confirming to Hoagie that he is definitely at the right place. When a lost, scared, confused, and clueless young woman who's been riding mommy's credit score her whole life can walk in and walk out with your fake Kutha bars, then it is your fault. A baby pen could have kept her out. Hoagie reams into her even louder. Out of the corner of his eye, he can see people bring out their communicators to record this. But this is an outlaw station. There are no laws to break. She protests, and Hoagie resists cheering as the idiot walked right into it. Which is why it's not the gilding I've got a problem with, you idiot. It's the catastrophic failure to keep random idiots out of your business. Is this how you run a con outside of the spin? How are you even alive if you're that sloppy? You idiots are going to be paying half again as much for everything until your debt to the station is paid in full. All of you. You made this mess, you pay for it. But what about the girl? Shouldn't she have a part of this? The Lutrin demands. The idiots that kidnapped her and had no damn plan on what to do if someone said no are also paying in full. So it's split between us? No, both of you groups of twits are paying in full. Each. That's not fair, she protests, and he laughs in her face. Fair? Fair? You want fair? Then go to a legal station and... Oh, that's right, you can't. Your entire operation is based on being unfair to others. Now you're complaining that things are unfair to you? What are you, a child? She shuts the door in his face. He smiles wider. Oh, so we're doing this the fun way? Great. I love the fun way. He unhooks the laser cutter hanging under his shirt and sets it into precision mode. It doesn't extend and instead has a tiny laser beam start to extend from the very tip of the tool. He quickly burns a hole through the middle of the door and then switches it to industrial cutting. The tiny flare goes out and the entire thing extends. He shoves it through the door entirely and cuts to the side before ripping upwards with it, like a blowtorch through butter. He notes as the smell of burning plastic, smoldering slag, and numerous small fires fills his nose. He carves the door out of its frame and then pulls out the laser cutter. He casually boots the door open and walks inside with a massive smile. I hope you all realize that you're getting billed for the door too, he says evenly as the stunned crew of guilders stare at him. Now the question is, am I carving the payments out of your credits or out of your corpses? I'm game either way.